So opening procedure for WPVM is you're going to key in your door code. Your door code is assigned to you whenever we've gotten to the point where you've filled out all the paperwork and we have you in our files. So you're going to be assigned a door code, and you're going to key it in, and the door will open. And then you turn on the lights here. And obviously the lobby is nice and neat, because if you have guests, you don't want them coming in with everything kind of astrew and messed up. So we're wanting you to always leave the station nice and neat like this. We have a security camera over here in the corner, right here, and that is for a number of reasons. The first one being no one can be at the station all the time due to our budget, so this is the way we keep track of who's coming and going. There's a coffee machine over here for coffee and tea for your guests. We do request, if you use any of the supplies, that you put a donation into the donation bottle. We always keep spring water here, or bottled water here for guests. So then, in order to do your show, you're going to come into the production room, or the studio, or the broadcast studio, turn on the light, come over here to our fabulous 1982 broadcast console, which we're very delighted to have. And you're going to get ready to do your show. And I'm going to turn the camera over to James Nave now, who's going to hold it while I go through the setup procedure.
I want to turn the...
I'm going to. So, the first thing that you want to do is you want to do a mic check. And how you're going to do that is you're going to put the mics on audition. You're going to hit the audition button, hit the on button, and raise the fader up. And you notice whenever I did that, the background music went away.
Okay, so do that again so people will be able to see it.
So you're going to go on audition. You're going to go on, going to hit mics on, or mic 1 is not on, and when you hit on, then the monitors in the studio quit playing music so that you don't get confused. And then you raise your fader to between 15 and 10, and over here you want to keep an eye on your view meters so that the audio is going at a good level. So over here on this side is also another audition button. So now, in order to completely check your mics, you'll notice right now I'm going way too high whenever I'm talking. You can see it's going over into the red. So I want to bring the fader down to 10.
It's going into the red.
15 or 10, between 15 and 10. And now you can see that it's bouncing right at the top of this arc.
Now push the fader all the way up and then show us how it bounces.
Okay, and let me show you what happens whenever, see how now I'm talking and see how it's going over in the red? That's going to sound terrible on the air. And I've put a little sign here to tell you that. Do not ever let the audio get above +2 on the view meters, or the audio will sound very bad on the air. So now I've lowered it back down to between 15 and 10, and you can see based on my voice, that it's getting up to 2, but it's not going over it.
And let's let them see how close you are to the mic.
And I'm about 2 inches from the mic.
And 2
at the
inches from
most.
the mic achieves, speak again.
Hello.
There you
Speaking
go.
again.
And it has
Testing
to
in
be over here on the very first one, halfway up between
15 and 10.
15 and 10.
All right, and so that's how you're going to do a mic check, and you can do that on mic 1, mic 2, and mic 3. So mic 2 and mic 3 are right here. You're going to do the same thing. Hit the audition button, hit the on button, raise the fader up, audition, and test those mics and see mic 2 and mic 3 and mic 2 and make sure you have quality audio going through there and that the mics are on.
And you will know if it's mic 1, 2, or 3 because it will be labeled.
They're labeled here.
Here's mic 3, and over here is mic 1, which is facing
This is the host mic.
the host mic, and then mic 2 is here, which you only would use if you have 2 guests,
Yes.
or 3 or 4.
Yes. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes 3 or 4 guests are in here and they have to share. So that's your mic check. And so when you're ready to go live, live is program, not audition. On these buttons up here and on these buttons over here. So we're going to go back to program, and then you're ready to go live with your with yourself and your guest. If you have guests and you can't remember their names, we have some little sticky pads here. You put the guest name on mic 2 or 3. That way you can keep track of the name of your guest, because when you're in the middle of doing your show, you can't think of everything. So every little thing that you do to help yourself remember without having to think too hard, do it for yourself. And one of these is to do the names of the guests on the sticky pads.
And if you can't remember that, you can just always put it right on their forehead, and you'll be
Yeah,
able to
yeah,
get it, no
you can
problem.
label them on that forehead too. So, you really want to keep track of the view meter up here when your audio is going out, that you're getting good audio going out. We do require that both the host and the guest wear earphones. And the host earphones are over here. And when you have these on, it blocks out all outside noise. So right now I'm talking, but I cannot hear anything but the music that's coming in off of our programming.
And let me give you a quick overview of, here's the entrance, the door. So you would enter the door here, and then you would come to the console, which is where Davine is sitting. And as you come across, past the mics, 1, 2, and 3, you'll find the headphones here underneath the black console. And then there are headphones also available underneath both microphones. 3 more headphones for your guest. So everybody gets a headphone, and they'll all be very happy.
Right. And then so after you've done your mic check, you're going to go over with your guest what can and can't be said on the radio. This is the pre-show orientation of guests. Make sure that they understand that they can't say any bad words. They have to be careful that when they're talking about why they're here, that they don't sound like a commercial, that they're actually informing and entertaining the community, and that this is not an opportunity for them to do a sale job. So you want to go over this list with your guest prior, and you want to come over to here, and you're going to sign in to the log, the date that you're here, the time that you're here, and when you're finished, you're going to indicate there. If there are any issues that I need to know about, you need to put a little notation here so that I know something needs some repair or something needs some adjustment. So we have clocks here and up there that you can use to keep track of your time. We ask that you start right at the top of the hour, and that you do not go over your hour or your time frame that you have allotted to do your show. When you're ready to do your show live, instead of these buttons being on audition that you did in your mic check, you want to have the program buttons on. You're going to turn on the mics if you have yourself. This is the host mic. Mic 1 is the host mic. Mic 2 is for a guest over there. And mic 3 is a guest over here. Raise the faders up to 15. And you're going to keep an eye on the automation up here. Your show will be shown, queued up for the next main track. At the top of the hour, it's going to automatically flip over. If you have intro music, it's going to start playing. While the intro music is playing, you're going to start lowering this fader. You want to make sure you get it all the way down. And then you start speaking into the mic. At the end of your show, you're going to bring the faders all the way down. You're going to turn the mics off. You're going to make sure that you bring the fader all the way up to where it was before. And then you're going to check up here to make sure the automation, it says automate, is highlighted and is showing. There's an alternative way to stop the rotation or the automation from playing, and that is to stop it right here. If you stop this right here, make sure when your show is over that you hit play and automate. If you just hit play, then the next song is going to play, and that's going to be it. So you have to make sure that you've hit play and automate to start the automation back up. And make sure when you leave that you hear the radio playing that's out in the lobby. So far, James, do you have any questions?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
And so do you think that you could sit down now and, without any further instruction, start up a live show?
I think I could sit down with this video and go over it a couple of times and feel comfortable enough to do a live show. But I would have to review the video first. I wouldn't be able to just do it out of the gate first time.
Okay, so then after your show is over, you want to make sure that you put the headphones back, that you put the mics back in position where they're not all, so that they look neat like they are now. You want to check around and make sure you're not leaving any personal items in the room. Check behind your guests to make sure they're not leaving any personal items. Come back out. Hang up the headphones down here. Turn off the light. Check in here. Make sure there are no personal items left. And leave. I do recommend when you come in, if you do not have guests that you're expecting, that you keep the door locked, and you lock the door like that. You just hit the button and it turns red, because you don't want anybody walking in when you're doing a live show, interrupting you, distracting you from the very difficult job that you're doing, which is doing a live show, which is not an easy thing to do. Now, just remember, mic check on audition, and then go live on production. Have your guests aware of the pre-show information, and sign the log, do your show, check behind your guest and yourself, leave the station as neat as you find it when you come in. Now we're going to go into how to use the Mevo. So if you're a show that's not doing anything with the live to social media, this is the end of it.
Do you want to cut this?
No, we can.
Let's keep going.
I'll just edit it.
Okay, great.
So now we're going to go back in here, and we're going to get set up to do a show with the Mevo camera. The first thing you do is you hold the top for about 3 seconds, and it starts swirling around, getting ready to go.
While it's getting ready to go, tell people what the Mevo camera is.
Mevo camera is a magical little camera that is capable of acting like 3 cameras instead of 1, and it streams live to Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo, Periscope, which is not used very much anymore, but it streams to about 5 different sites. But it also can record it and store the show so that you can capture that video and download it and put it on your website. So right now, for its internet connection, it is hooked up to our Ethernet. This is the Ethernet cable. It's going into this box over here. The cable is 10 feet long. So you have some flexibility on placement of the camera, but please be careful if you're wired in with the Ethernet cable that you don't put, you only have so much length that you can do with the Ethernet cable. Not everyone wants to use the Ethernet cable or uses the Ethernet cable. What we have found is shows that run in the morning seem to have dropping off issues. And the dropping off issues we've come to realize might have a lot to do with our wireless in here. So that's why we have an Ethernet connection, but you also have the option of connecting to our wireless network in here. So over here is our iPad. The iPad, or a device in general, controls the actions of the camera. And so this is the station's iPad. We turn it on. And the way we get audio into the iPad is with this little interface here called an iRig that works to get information into a Mac device. So we plug this in to the audio jack. And you can see right here, can you get it close where it says Ethernet, that it's
Now this is already set up so that when you come in and you press the button here and it turns on, and then you position it here, making sure that you don't extend the cable beyond its limit. Then you point it to the console where the people will be. Then you connect this to the iPhone by way of the audio jack. Then once it starts up, the whole thing is connected and ready to go. Unable to connect. Try again.
now we have, if you notice up here,
Is it on? Okay.
it's recording. So up here you've got little lights that indicate that the Mevo is on and it's ready to start videotaping, or ready to start video. And so you click on the Mevo icon, and the camera is on. Down here you control your screen Right now I've got it on what's called Find Faces right here, and then you see little blue lines right here, so it's found my face and it's zeroing in on it. If you have guests, you want it to also find their faces too, so you want them to sit in position and kind of start talking like they would be on the radio into the mics, and let the camera find them. That way it's going to kind of automatically put it, it's called being on autopilot, and it will move around as your guest and you are talking. You want to check the audio levels. You want your audio levels always to be hitting about halfway up, and you can control that by using this fader here. What we do here is we run the audio that's coming through the board is going into this iPad, so that you're getting broadcast console audio quality going out on your live feed, instead of using the microphone in the iPad or the microphone from the Mevo. So you want to get the best quality of audio you possibly can, and you control that. It's controlled by the headphone volume knob over here. If you raise this up past 9 o'clock, you're going to get peaking and distortion. So always make sure that your headphone volume is at 9 o'clock. Next, you have a number of different exposures here. I've got this set on backlight. So far in our experiments here, this is going to give us the best color in the room. So I keep it on backlight for that reason. You have some adjustments, but I would leave it on backlight. So then you would close that off. You would hit this little red button here. Up here is the various streaming destinations. Most of us use Facebook, so you're going to click on Facebook. You're going to come over here to WPVM. Right now, there are a number of options of other groups because it's tied into my Facebook account. And so these are all of the different groups that I'm associated with. You don't want any of these back here. You just want to go to this first WPVM community radio right here. Click on that, and that means that it's going to go to that particular WPVM Facebook page. You're going to come up here to what's happening, type in, we're going to do a test, and pretend like we're doing something. I think what we need to do, because we really don't want this lesson to go out live on the radio, but what you would are live on Facebook. So what you would do is you would hit go live, and then your stream would start going out to Facebook. If you want to do a private one so that you can do a test, what I would do here, so I'm going to show you how I test the Mevo. So I go to Davine's profile, I come here and I make it private, only me can see it, and then if I hit go live it would go to me and it would only be me seeing it. So we don't want to do that. We want to go back to here. We want to make sure that you're sending it out to the public, and then you go live. And then you make sure at the end that you have hit the stop. Slide to stop. So it takes it a few minutes, and then you get this option that shows up, keep on my Facebook feed. No, I don't want to keep it up there because it was just a little test. But you also want it to save to the SD card. The camera has an SD card that stores about 40 or 50 shows. I go in and clean it out about once every 2 or 3 weeks. But if your show was recorded and you said save to SD card, then it's saved to that card. And then you can retrieve that by going to this one. And you can see that was just the little tutorial that I just did. And then you have the option of loading that, download it to your phone, share it somewhere that you have that you have a place to go share it, and then you can edit it or do whatever you want with it. Put it onto another page. Right now it's going to it could go to AirDrop, it could go to my iPad. If your phone is here, it might pick up your AirDrop, or I think you can get to it, you can send it to yourself on an email. And so that's how you save it. And then at the end of your video, you want to make sure that you turn the camera off. You want to make sure you turn this little iRig interface off. You turn the iPad off. You unplug it. You plug it back in over here so that the power is there for the next person. And any questions?
No
questions. You think you can do it?
I'd have to review it.
Yeah, you have to review it.
Yeah, it's a step-by-step thing, and it's not something that you want to make sure you get every step right.
Right. So one thing to remember is once you get your camera set up and you have your connection going, you can see the picture before you go live, how it's set up, and you want to stage your picture so that you look good. You want to show your best side if possible, and you have your guest set up so that the quality of the visions going out is as advantageous to you as possible.
Right, yes.
So I know whenever I come in to do a live show, I make sure my makeup is good. I make sure that I'm wearing something solid or something that's not going to be really conflicting on the air. And there's a lot to learn about live streaming, and there's plenty of videos on YouTube. Mevo has a bunch of great videos on how to operate the camera that you can check out their tutorial. And welcome to cutting edge technology that no other radio station in Asheville is doing. So we are definitely ahead of the pack, and we want to stay ahead of the pack. So if James doesn't have any questions, then this tutorial is over.